What's up, everyone? Dalton Hopkins of Frontstretch.com here. I am flanked to my left by one of our open wheel reporters, Christopher DeHarde, and we are here live right next to the coast of St. Petersburg, Florida. It's a very beautiful day outside right now, but we just witnessed round one of the IndyCar's series season opening. So we had a lot of different things that happened today, a lot of various strategies, but it all began on lap one, and then calamity struck.
Well, races typically begin on lap one. Just giving you a little bit of a hard time there. There was a turn 3 incident. Louis Foster spun around after Nolan Siegel and Will Power collided. Power got into the back of Siegel, turned Siegel into the wall exiting turn 3. Power and Siegel's races ended right there. So did Foster's. Foster, we didn't really see who hit Foster and spun him around. The replay angles were kind of inconclusive there because of the way Siegel and Power's cars were collected there. All three drivers were seen and released from the medical center. They're all fine. But what that accident did was it really affected the race strategy. IndyCar mandates that you have to run 2 laps on both the primary black sidewall tires and the green sidewall option tire. Please forgive me for that. There are the softer compound tires have a lot greater grip, but they have a lot less tire life, or they're supposed to. And at St. Petersburg, there was a lot less life in them. As a little Unimog thing.
We still have on-track activity going on right now.
It was just a Unimog, like one of those service vehicles going by. We're right in between turns 9 and 10, by the way. We should let the people know here. So you have to run 2 laps on each compound. The green sidewall tires, they had a lot of wear, a lot of degradation, as you'll hear. And a lot of drivers, what they did was after the pits opened, at the end of the second lap of the race, they all went into pit road. The drivers that started on the green sidewall alternate compound tires, and they got off of them. The vast majority of those drivers didn't use them again for the rest of the race, and for good reason. A lot of drivers that ran the green sidewall tires later on in the race for their second stint or the final stint, a lot of them ran a dozen laps, 13 laps. 2 drivers actually ran stints of 3 laps and then came into the pits immediately to get rid of them because they just did not last all weekend. So that was kind of a theme through practice and qualifying. Some drivers, they could barely get them to last a lap in the qualifying sessions, but that's kind of what dictated the race. The drivers that gambled on starting the race on the green sidewall tires in anticipation of a first lap accident were all vindicated when Nolan Siegel, Will Power, and Louis Foster brought out the race's first and only full course yellow. They were able to pit at the end of lap number 2, get off of those tires, and run the rest of the race on the primary compound tires that were going to last a lot longer.
You said it yourself, 1 yellow in this event here today. That's only happened one other time in the history of the St. Petersburg Grand Prix back in 2022. But today was also the shortest Grand Prix of St. Petersburg in history. But by the end of that short race, it came down to 2 different drivers competing for the win. And it looked like that Alex Palou was going to run away with it. He undercutted his teammate Scott Dixon thanks to his pit strategy, but got out in front. Is about 5 seconds ahead of Joseph Newgarden, and then what happened, Christopher?
So Stingray Robb was still running around. I think he was in 20th or 21st place. In fact, I have the results right here. He ended up finishing 21st, but Stingray Robb was still on the lead lap near the end of the race. If you are fighting to stay on the lead lap, you do not have to move over for the leaders, even if it's late in the race. Stingray was fighting to maintain his position in case there was another yellow late in the going, which, let's face it, on a road street course can still happen. Today it didn't. It did several years ago when Alexander Rossi and Robert Wickens had their collision going to the first turn on the last lap in 2018. Now, Stingray had every right to defend his position. He was trying to stay on the lead lap, and that meant that Alex Palou was going to run a few laps at a reduced pace. And then Palou got by Stingray with about 6 or 7 laps to go, maybe, I think is when it was. But the main thing is that allowed Joseph Newgarden to run down Alex Palou late in the race. He got to within a second of Palou, but just could not quite get by the Spaniard, who is the 2-time defending IndyCar Series champion and is trying to get his 3rd in a row this year. Palou got by Stingray Robb going into turn number 1 with about 6 or 7 laps to go. As the drivers went to turn number 4, Newgarden was able to get around Stingray. He made it really easy for Newgarden. And then as they went through turn number 5, Dixon was able to get around Stingray as well. And by the end of it, though, I think Newgarden used up way too much fuel trying to chase Alex Palou. And that meant that Palou didn't really have a challenge from Dixon and Newgarden late in the race. Scott Dixon was able to close in the gap from 3rd to 2nd as a result of all this and actually passed Newgarden for 2nd, I believe, on the final lap going into turn number 10, right over here, right near where we're standing right here.
And as a result, Alex Palou does get his first win of the St. Petersburg Grand Prix, and of course a first win here in 2025 as well. But that wasn't the whole story, was it? There were a couple outliers in the middle of the pack. I talked to Kyle Kirkwood after the race, finally got a top 5 for the Floridian here at his only home race in the state of Florida that's on the IndyCar season, so got that monkey off his back. But you also talked to a few other guys down the list. You got the results in hand, so we're going to go down through it.
Wasn't able to get to Alexander Rossi, unfortunately, but he got a top 10 finish. He was the second driver that was on the strategy where he ran the alternates tires in his second stint. Pato O'Ward finished 11th. He started all the way back in 23rd place. Part of the difficulty of IndyCar racing is you have to be able to get the alternate tires up to operating temperature. He wasn't able to do that really all that well in qualifying, which is why he qualified all the way back in 23rd place. He was able to finish 11th. He had to run one more stop near the end of the race and was still able to finish in 11th place. Almost got Rossi for 10th. But even more impressive, Rinus VeeKay in 9th place. So Rinus was the last driver announced as a full-time IndyCar driver for this year for Dale Coyne Racing. They made that announcement on Valentine's Day. So he ran for Dale Coyne. Please forgive me. It's allergies are a real pain in the butt this weekend. He ran for Dale Coyne Racing in the October hybrid test at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, and they were really impressed by him. Some sponsorship deals had to come together very late in the going, but VeeKay got announced on Valentine's Day. Qualified 12th, finished 9th. That was Dale Coyne Racing's first top 10 finish since David Malukas finished, I want to say, in 8th place at the 2023 Grand Prix of Portland, which massively impressive for that team. They were able to get that going. In 2024, it was a big struggle for them. A lot of turnover for crew and engineers. So for him to get a 9th place finish here was really impressive. And I dived into that a little bit deeper in a little story for Frontstretch as well. Going through the results here again, David Malukas and Santino Ferrucci, 13th and 14th. Impressive for Dale Coyne Racing to have both of their drivers there finishing in the top 14. Colton Herta, 16th. Bad day for Colton Herta. His first pit stop, or first green flag pit stop, rather, there was a difficulty with the right rear tire with it getting secured on the car, and they didn't get a lot of fuel in the car as well, so he had to actually make a second pit stop on like lap 46 or 47, just 10 or 11 laps after that first stop. Not a good day for the 26 crew, but, a lot of other races left on the calendar. They got 16 more to kind of get it back. Connor Daly started 27th, finished 17th. A lot of fuel saving he had to do late in the going. I saw his social media account. Running okay for the most part in the early part of the race, but he had to make his last stop early and had to do a lot of fuel saving as the race wound down. Kyle Milot in 19th and Robert Schwartzman in 20th. That was Prema's first ever IndyCar race. Callum ran in the top 10 early in the race because he didn't make his first stop with everybody else because he started on the primary tires. He ran his alternate stint later on in the race. The fact that they both finished on the lead lap in their first race for the team was actually impressive. I have to give them credit for that. Finishing on the lead lap is a big deal in your first ever IndyCar race as a team, and great job to them. They didn't put a wheel wrong really all weekend that I can remember. So good job by them. Let's see, anything else here that sticks out. Marcus Armstrong. So he ran in the top 5 for a lot of the first part of the race. He hit the wall, I want to say it was exiting turn 3 after his first pit stop. Sorry about that again. And he broke a left rear toe link. The crew brought the car back to the paddock area trying to get the suspension area fixed. They must have found some other damage with the car because Armstrong never returned to the track, and it was so frustrating. He started in the top 5. He started 4th. The team locked out the second row with Felix Rosenquist starting 3rd. fact, Rosenquist finished 7th, so not too bad. But it was just so frustrating for them because such high hopes going into the race, and it just all went away like that so quickly.
A lot of stories here today, despite only one caution rate, only one caution in this race, but still an eventful weekend nonetheless. We're going to have a lot more with you later on this season. Frontstretch will continue its IndyCar coverage when they go to Thermal in a few weeks here, so that'll be interesting to see. Stick around for that. And from Dalton Hopkins, from Christopher DeHarde here at St. Petersburg, Florida, thank you for tuning in. We really hope you enjoyed our coverage, and we really hope you stick around for the next one.
Didn't you have one of those boats over there?
I think we'll get arrested for that.
Jared Haas with Frontstretch.com. Come back soon for more great racing videos. And if you like us, make sure to hit that subscribe button.